What if you walked into a room for just 5 minutes and came back to find that 30 years had passed? That's the question that haunted Ethan Miller for the rest of his life. It started on a quiet autumn afternoon, the kind where the air feels still, heavy, and somehow aware. Ethan was driving through an old industrial district on the edge of town, a place long abandoned, filled with forgotten warehouses and dust-covered windows that hadn't seen daylight in decades. He was an urban explorer, someone who loved photographing abandoned buildings. But that day, he found something different, a small building with no sign, no number, just a rusted door standing slightly open. Inside, he thought, would be another set of broken walls and peeling paint. Instead, he found time itself waiting for him. The moment he stepped inside, the air changed. The sound of the street vanished completely. No wind, no echoes, not even the faint hum of distant traffic. Just silence, a perfect, unnatural silence that pressed against his ears. His flashlight flickered, though the batteries were new. Dust swirled in strange patterns, almost as if something was moving just out of sight. The hallway stretched longer than it should have, each step echoing a little too late, like time itself was lagging. He checked his watch, 3:02 p.m. He remembered it clearly because the second hand had stopped. He shook it, tapped it, but it refused to move. And then, from somewhere deep inside the building, he heard it, a low, rhythmic hum. Not a machine, not a voice, but something in between. It pulsed through the floor, through his shoes, through his bones. He followed the sound, passing door after door, all closed, all marked with strange faded symbols. Some looked mathematical, others almost biological. When he reached the end of the hallway, he found a single door, clean, untouched by dust or decay. It was pure white, almost glowing faintly in the dark. His breath fogged in front of him even though it wasn't cold. He hesitated, hand trembling, then pushed it open. Inside was a small room, empty except for an old wooden chair and a wall mirror that reached from floor to ceiling. The mirror didn't reflect him clearly, it shimmered, as though submerged underwater. And as he stepped closer, the hum grew louder until it wasn't sound anymore, but vibration. His vision blurred, the room bent around him like liquid glass. He blinked, once, twice, and suddenly, everything went black. When Ethan opened his eyes, the air smelled different, the light outside the door had changed. The silence was gone, he felt dizzy, weak. He stumbled out, and the first thing he noticed was the light, brighter, sharper, almost wrong. He walked out into the street and froze, the cars were gone. The road was cracked, weeds growing through it. Buildings he'd passed minutes ago were crumbling, overtaken by vines and moss. The air carried the faint hum of a world that had moved on. He pulled out his phone, no signal. The battery read 0%, even though he'd charged it that morning. He looked around, heart pounding. A newspaper stand nearby was rusted shut, but through the broken glass, a faded headline caught his eye. The date, August 12, 2054, 30 years. He laughed at first, a dry, broken laugh, but the world around him didn't care. Time had moved forward, without him. The people were gone, replaced by quiet streets and echoes of a future he didn't belong to. He wandered for hours, trying to find something familiar, a store, a sign, anything. But everything was either gone or changed beyond recognition. The sun was setting when he finally saw movement, a figure standing at the end of the street. He called out, voice trembling. The figure didn't answer, it just watched. When he took a step closer, the figure turned and disappeared behind a building. He followed, desperate for answers. But what he found wasn't a person, it was another door. The same white door from before, standing upright in the middle of an alley, unconnected to any wall. It was pristine, untouched, humming faintly like before. Against every instinct, Ethan stepped closer. He touched the handle, and in that instant, he saw his reflection, but older, wrinkled, eyes hollow. The older version of himself mouthed something silently, pressing his hand against the glass. And then, the mirror shattered from the inside. Ethan stumbled back, the white door was gone. The alley was empty. In his trembling hands, he noticed his watch. It had started ticking again. But the time was wrong. It read 3:07 p.m., 5 minutes after he entered. He had been gone for 5 minutes, and yet 30 years had passed. For weeks, he searched online, looking for explanations, wormholes, time dilation, hallucination, anything that could make sense. But every road led to the same dead end. No building like that existed anymore. The coordinates he marked showed an empty lot, untouched for decades. The more he searched, the more the static returned, faint at first, then louder, filling his dreams with that same rhythmic hum. Sometimes he'd wake up in the middle of the night and swear he saw the white door reflected in the mirror across his room. And each morning, his reflection looked slightly older. The final entry in Ethan's journal read, "The door calls again. This time, I think it wants me to stay." No one ever found him after that. But sometimes, late at night, if you drive through the old district, you might see a faint white glow between the ruins, and if you listen closely, you'll hear a hum, pulsing softly beneath the silence. Maybe he never left. Maybe time just hasn't decided which side he belongs to yet. If you want to uncover what really happened inside that impossible room, watch the full story. And remember, subscribe and ring the bell before time forgets you next.